Hello and welcome to my review of the LEGO Technic 42080. I believe it's called Tree Harvester. It's a tree harvester that's LEGO Technic, but it also uses both power functions and the pneumatic system. The pneumatic system to give it lift and some other movements, and then the power functions powers that lift, as I'll show you later. It also comes with a few small things and some trees. So we're going to start with a few small things and some trees. We have the small things included in the set, which is like a little branch, a chainsaw, a sawhorse, and the world's most plain-looking trees. These trees are 10 grooved, these round cylinder bricks. And that's really it. And they also have a yellow Technic beam running through them to make them tougher. But that looks pretty ugly if it's near the top, so I've made it so that they stick down a bit. But, I mean, these trees are incredibly plain. There's no decoration on them at all, but that is so that they work with the tree harvester, which I'll show you in a bit. And here's the chainsaw, which has got quite a lot of detail. It looks pretty good. I mean, it's got quite a few colours on it, but yeah, it seems fine. And then the sawhorse and the little kind of twig looks good as well. So, yeah, let's get to the big thing. So here is the tree harvester itself. It's a big one. It's a 8-wheeled one, a 4x4 with a pivoting joint, which can pivot. It can't pivot that way, but it can obviously turn, which is controlled by this here. And more than that, it's actually also got a steering front axle, which means it has a tighter turning radius, which is really good. It's very good how well that works. And it's also got suspension on all of its axles, so it's got some serious suspension travel. Actually, I changed. This one doesn't have any suspension, but the other three do. This is the only one that doesn't, and that's because it has to hold the chassis together. This also rotates. Is if you have it turned and rotated like real life, they kind of tip a bit, and then these wheels are in the air. But you know, don't drive dangerously. So then, I mean, I'll move it around here. So you've got an axe here on the side, which a minifigure could use, but this is obviously much bigger than minifig scale. This is the engine compartment, which actually lifts up and shows you there's the battery box, the power function motor, and there is the pneumatic pump. There we go. So that's what the motor runs, and that generates all the air pressure to run the pneumatic systems, which you can see all the hoses for here. We'll get to them in a second. And I mean, it's got quite a bit of detail. It's got brake lights, reversing lights. I mean, it's not got masses of detail, but there's not too many strange colours, except for these blue here, and obviously the blue pipes, and some blue in around here. But it's not too bad. Oh, that's broken. But I mean, yeah. So actually, let's see the cab. I'll just zoom you in. So inside the cab here, there's a coffee mug here, and there's something there, and a seat, actual seat, and that's really it. There's no control levers or anything. Well, actually no. These are control levers. I actually thought they were structural. No, they are control levers, but they're quite far away from the driver. And then there's lights on the cab, and that's pretty much it. You can see in here, these are the controls for the hydrostatic. So you turn these knobs, and then they action things, as we'll see just now. If I turn the unit around, you'll see on the other side that it's pretty much exactly the same, except for the fact there's a shovel here, and there's this little switch here which turns the motor on and off. And the motor actually shakes this cover around, which in some ways is quite realistic. It adds a bit of action to it. So then when the motor is running, if you use these, they will adjust the pneumatic rams. So do that. This side lifts the main boom. So that's at full height. And then back down. And back up. This works pretty well. This very rarely does not work. This is a very reliable system here. The other one is not quite so reliable. If we just wait for it to come up, we'll lock it there. And then we'll turn it around. The other one actions. The other one is on here, and it actions the delimbers coming around, so they pull back. So they go like that and then back in. So we'll see that now. They work fairly well. They don't work quite as reliably, but they still work pretty well. It also makes a very good sound, the hissing sound, which sounds quite realistic for when air is being used on real things. Although in real life this would obviously all be hydraulic using oil. There's also this, the cutting blade comes out the bottom here. I mean, and that's really it. There's a lot of warning stickers all around it, which is quite realistic. Can't really see them. There they are. And that's pretty much it for the function. This also can rotate as much as the hoses allow it to. And then it also can be tipped. It kind of locks. It kind of locks with gravity. Locks it. But otherwise it can tip. I mean, and that's really it for it. Yeah, it's a very well functioning thing. Yeah, there's also a toolbox on it which fell off. This falls off quite a lot. It's mounted here on this step on the other side. It comes off quite a lot, but yeah, that's pretty much everything here. There's quite a lot of stickers used on this, but I think they all add a decent amount of detail. And there's also an exhaust here. Yeah, and that's really it. Here is a display of it trying to get one of these trees. So if we start the motor up, we can then make sure it's straight. If we lower it, nope, that's too flat. Like there, and drive forward, and it hits there, and then we see, this is where the ram's not working. It should be going in now. Sometimes it just needs a bit of a help. And then we're going to lock that. Nope. Come on. Then we're going to lock that. Then we're going to pick it up. Now, one problem is, as you see here, the base came up. Yeah, that's a slight problem. Why aren't you focusing? Come on, focus. Yeah, if there'd been maybe a jumper used or something, that wouldn't have happened, because that does seem a bit strange. But it's really well held on there, because it's on by 4 studs, so there's no chance of that not coming up. You'd have to hold it down. I think functionality-wise it's okay, but you know, there's not a lot you can do with it now. But I mean, it's still cool to be able to pick it up like that. Here are all the spare parts in the set. I don't really know why it looks so dark on the camera. I'm not sure. This is a new camera for this video. Let me know if it's darker than before. It's the same lighting setup, but it just seems a lot darker. But anyway, these are all the spare parts. There's not very many for the size of the set, and there's none that are particularly amazing. This is probably the best. These are used in the front of the cab section. They usually give you a spare in case they're bent during transit, which actually one of mine was, but I managed to straighten it. And here is the massive sticker set for the set. Yeah, there's a lot there, as you can see. I think most of them are necessary. There's some that probably aren't quite. Yeah, none of them were too bad to apply. In fact, actually, the worst were these the little warning sign ones. But yeah, not very many spare parts. A lot of stickers. So overall, I think this set is quite good. I like the pneumatic functions, especially the lift one, because that always works. It's because it's such a small it's a tiny little ram that does the thingy, and they're actually really quite stiff. So I'm actually surprised it works at all. But I mean, that was all they could fit in, and it does work most of the time. I do think it's really good. I did another pneumatic thing recently about a wee while ago. The Technic 42128 heavy wrecker, and it also had a pneumatic system. I think it made a slightly better use of the pneumatic system, but I think this is a good use as well. Yeah, I think this is fine. This one has power functions to power the pneumatics. The heavy wrecker did not. I'm not sure if that's completely necessary. If anything, I'd actually say it's more necessary on the wrecker because the wreckers you had to pump quite a lot. On this, you don't actually need so much air volume, but it's still really good. And there's this alternate build for a forwarder that you can get if you go on lego.com. I'm not going to try it, but I mean, it does look pretty good. Again, I actually think this one makes a much better use of the hydrostatic, because it uses a ram to lift and a ram to use the second crane, so it's a full crane. So I actually do think that it uses a better system. In fact, does it even? No, it doesn't. It doesn't use the little ram down here to open and close it. But still, I think that's actually maybe the better use. But I think this one looks better. It looks more rounded. But yes, let me know what you think of this set. I think it's a good one. If you can find it for sale these days. I mean, it's quite old. Can't actually remember how old. 2018, I think maybe. I got it new in box, and it was still at retail price. But I mean, there's probably some stragglers left behind that you could probably find. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye for now.